All right, we have one final mother-telling storyteller for you after the break. And, well, the break has happened. Now we have her. And I'm really, really excited to introduce Rhea Daniels because we actually met at the very first Reclaiming Birth conference. And so we also live in the same small town, New Hamburg, which was awesome to learn, and we've become friends. She spoke on the very first Mothertelling stage, and then when I volunteered her to speak here, she said a big yes. She has an awesome, amazing birth story. She's a mom of 3 under 4, and she lives, I just told you where she lives, and she's awesome at hot yoga and going for early morning walks with me, even though she doesn't like early mornings. Here is Rhea with her story. Oh shoot, I forget what we called it. A Cross-Continential Birth Story. It was called something else before, but you know what? You're gonna love it, and let's give her a warm welcome.
February 2020, the month I found out I was pregnant with my first. And as we all know, a month later, the world changed. Still, I was determined to have the perfect birth. I read birth books, I did yoga, I even got my pelvic floor massaged. It was not what I wanted, but at the time, neither me nor anyone close to me knew about any other options. And so, at 39 weeks and 2 days, I went into formal labor by my water breaking. What happened to me next is unfortunately quite typical, and was a range of interventions. So first, I had to be induced because no contractions. Then I had to have continuous fetal monitoring. Then I had an epidural. Then I had an episiotomy and forceps. And all of this while wearing a mask too. But I had a baby, a healthy baby girl. I was relieved to be leaving the hospital 2.5 days after arriving. 67 cases of hospitalizations due to COVID, 2 deaths. That is the running ticker on the bottom of my TV screen. As I'm sitting on the couch, I place my hand on my belly. I am pregnant with my second. Again, not knowing any better, I make an appointment with the same OB. At this time, the COVID vaccine is coming out and slowly becoming mandatory. Here I am, a woman having her second child in 13 months, and I'm unvaccinated, with no intention of changing that. To some, it seems like I have some screws loose. It seems like the hospital is the last place that will be kind to me. But at the time, birthing at home and outside the system was a foreign concept to me. My parents are growing increasingly concerned with all the restrictions and confusions that are happening at this time. They had always dreamed of retiring to a hotter country and decided to move up that timeline, choosing Ecuador, a small country on the west coast of South America. They end up moving a few weeks later. It is now September 1st of 2021, and I'm laying on the plush carpet in my bedroom, staring up at the ceiling, thinking, I am worried. Today, the government of Ontario has announced its vaccine passport system in order to enter what they deem non-essential businesses and in order to fly out of the country. I'm scared. Scared because I know that deep down, staying with the path I am on will lead to an outcome where I have no real self-determination in my birthing process. Throughout the early fall, I spend my days roaming from kitchen to bathroom to hall with my 9-month-old daughter in tow. I feel trapped. Trapped in my own mind because every time I visit my OB, she forcefully encourages the COVID vaccine. Am I really doing the right thing? I think. Trapped in my own body because I know when it's time for my birth, I'll be shuttled from the comfort of my home to a cold building with all its artificial lights, weird machines, and those unholy masks.
Chilly afternoon.
One chilly afternoon, I decide to take a break from placing pumpkins on my porch and decide to call my mom. The tears start flowing. I am tired, and I want to run away. I want to be away from all the numbers, the noise, the news. My mom gently suggests that I come to Ecuador for the birth. The village where they live is semi-remote. No outside noises, no outside fears. My husband is worried, but he knows that I'm doing what is best for our unborn son. In early October, my dad flies back to Canada to wrap up a few things, and I decide to go back to Ecuador with him. We arrive at Pearson Airport, the largest airport in the country. As I exit the passenger seat, I say goodbye to my husband and look back to see my 11-month-old daughter sleeping peacefully in her car seat. A few days after arriving, on a hot and sticky morning, I decide to go into town and visit New Life, which is the birthing center I was putting all my hope in. But as soon as I enter the building, my hopes are already dashed. The center has run out of funding, and today is their last day of operations. Desperate for any other help, my mom, who was with me, asked Jenny, the midwife, if she knows of any other options. Jenny gives the name of an OB that the center used for cases that needed transfers to the hospital. Holding the paper in my hand, I think, well, this is better than nothing. A few days pass, and I decide to make an appointment with the OB. She is warm, but still, I am not at ease, for I crossed continents for a birth in freedom, not fear. In early November, I get a message from Jenny saying that there's a midwife from the States, Heather, who is taking over the center, and that I could come in for an appointment. I am elated. Yes, maybe after all, I would get my birthing center birth. But yet again, my hopes are dashed, as Heather says that the center is not ready to accept new clients, but she thanks me for stopping by and tells me to let her know if I needed anything. I leave feeling even more hopeless and confused. It is now 1 a.m. on a warm December night, and though my mini fan is working overtime, I am sweating. I can hear the cacophony of insects outside. I'm lying in bed, staring at the bright screen of my cell phone, looking for flights to go back to Canada. As the rhythmic chorus of the insects outside get louder, my thoughts get louder as well. The only difference between being here and back home in Canada is here I can actually hear my thoughts. I can't remember the last time I wore a mask, listened to the news, or had someone ask me if I was vaccinated. What are you doing? I think to myself. Did you really come to Ecuador to give birth in a hospital, Rhea? Would that be a sovereign birth on your own terms? But the OB, she seems so lovely, so caring. The sound of a rooster crowing interrupts my thoughts. I now know what I have to do. And though I don't have a clear plan moving forward, I have come too far, literally, to birth my son in the jungle. And so I decide to stay, and now I'm 39 weeks. It is now January 1st of 2022, and I ring in the new year with my parents at a local Mexican restaurant. We wear sombreros. A few days later, on a Monday evening, I decide to take a shower. When I come out, I see a small red snot-like circle on the ground. I have lost my mucus plug. At around 5:30 a.m., my contractions are getting stronger, and so I decide to message Heather and let her know I am labor. Let her know that I am in labor, and ask her if she could assist me for a birth at home. At the same time, I can see the sun peeking through the windows, and so I decide to open the door and let all the light in. Just how light expands if you let it, I too was ready to expand my body. And just as the sun was rising over the mountains, ready to power another day, my mind was also powering up. It was powering up for the birth of my son. Around an hour later, Jenny and another lay midwife sent by Heather arrive. They are warm, telling me exactly what I need to hear, telling me not to think of them as professionals, but rather as friends who are here to guide me on the rest of my birthing journey. I go back to laying on my bed, sipping from a fresh pile of coconuts that lay next to me. At 8 a.m., the sun is fully up, and in a few pushes, my son is born. It is done. Don't get me wrong, I am exhausted, but it was on my own terms. No weird machines, no artificial lights, and no unholy masks. When I'm given the opportunity to think, absent of outside noises and fears, I'm able to make the decision that is best for me and my son. In a time of rampant fear, I am feeling empowered. The mask that once covered my face and mind is gone, never to be seen again. I am brave, I am fearless, I am sovereign. Thank you.